Before we begin, please subscribe and assist me in reaching 1,000 subscribers. Your support breathes life into these tales. Share in the comments your viewing location. Perhaps Chicago, Nashville, or New Orleans. I'm always delighted to witness how far these videos journey. The sun drooped heavily beyond the western skyline, casting liquid gold across the dust-laden thoroughfare. The radiance adhered to the twisted boards of the aged saloon, to the barred windows that gazed like sleepless sentinels, to the silhouette slumped feebly against its exterior. She remained there as if her frame were fractured kindling, her ebony hair matted with dirt and perspiration, her dress, once refined crimson adorned with ivory blossoms, torn and stained. One palm pressed against her bloodied ribs, the other scraped along the timber for support. Her breathing escaped like a shattered supplication. "No more suffering," she murmured to the emptiness, her voice barely stronger than the breeze. "My ribs lie already shattered." The settlement witnessed her plight, though none ventured near. Drapes stirred, gazes sparkled from darkened verandas, yet no arm extended forward. She had transformed into legend well before she stumbled here. Rumors of treachery, of disgrace, of transgressions never spoken yet eagerly branded upon her shoulders. In a realm where standing carried greater significance than reality, she proved simpler to damn than to comprehend. When her fingers tapped weakly upon the chemist's entrance, it sealed before her knuckles could descend once more. At the water source, a lady lifted her pail and pivoted away, liquid splashing upon the earth rather than flowing into another's vessel. Each rejection weighed heavier upon her breast and the fractured bones beneath. Footfalls pierced the quiet, measured, unhurried, as if they had traveled eternally and would continue long after existence ceased. A figure advanced along the earthen path, imposing in the burnished radiance, frame erect beneath a weathered hide coat. His brim cast shadows over features sculpted by sun and remoteness, creases etched by years of isolation. Elias Boone, his identity swept through the frontier like a gentle gust, neither cherished nor despised, simply recognized as the rider who claimed no home. He could have continued as he perpetually did, a shadow drifting between settlements without marking his passage. Yet his pace diminished, his attention captured by the lady collapsed against the structure. The gathering observed with anticipation, expecting him to avert his face and proceed. Such was the natural order. A man did not bind himself to difficulty, not if he desired to remain unmarked. Still Elias halted, boots fixed in the powder. For an instant, stillness expanded between them, dense and crushing. She raised her gaze to meet his, eyes bordered in crimson yet still burning, rebellion glimmering beneath weariness. He perceived not the disgrace painted upon her by foreign lips, but the silent perseverance of one still declining to surrender. He descended to a single knee, the height of his garment rustling against the ground. His palm, wide and weathered from years gripping leather, hesitated before settling tenderly upon her limb. She recoiled initially, then grew still, as though stunned that anyone would dare contact her without contempt. Their gazes met and held, hers shadowed with humiliation and rage, his constant, inscrutable, yet gentler than gossip ever suggested. No words were exchanged. None were required. Mabel Crow, the bereaved woman with the cruelest tongue in the region, emerged from a porch and expectorated. "Abandon her, Boone. That creature bears misfortune." Others voiced concurrence, their utterances ascending like insects over a festering wound. Elias offered them no response. He merely positioned his arm beneath the woman's shoulders and raised her as though she possessed no greater weight than an infant. She inhaled sharply, suppressing agony, yet made no further objection. The murmurs intensified, fragile and poisonous. Still his silence overwhelmed them all. The endless trail extended forward toward the grassland's boundary where heaven touched nothingness. He bore her into it, boots pressing gently into the dust, her ravaged gown flowing like a wounded standard. The settlement lingered behind, their verdicts hammered in position like barriers that would never part again. Stride by stride, he transported her from their scrutiny, selecting banishment in a solitary motion. At his dwelling, a battered construction hunched against the ocean of prairie, Elias placed her upon a narrow bed and retrieved water from a metal vessel. She attempted to repel him, dignity stinging more acutely than her injuries, yet her energy wavered. He remained silent, merely presenting the cup, the cool edge touching her lips until she consumed. The liquid trembled down her gullet, each gulp releasing the tangle of despair lodged within her. He ministered to her ribs with cautious hands, motions measured, as though he dreaded any abrupt movement might disperse her completely. She sealed her eyes, whispering once more, "You should have abandoned me." His sole reply was the gentle scraping of a seat drawn beside the bed. He settled, hat resting in his lap, gaze concentrated on the dancing shadows the lamp projected upon her features. The prairie breeze drifted through the unsealed window, bearing the soft whisper of nightfall. Beyond these walls the world would condemn. Within, two spirits sat together in quietude, united not by speech, but by the delicate acknowledgement of mutual solitude. And as darkness assembled, one truth crystallized: by sheltering her, Elias Boone had elected to oppose the entire frontier. The night enveloped them, laden with both danger and possibility, leaving their destiny suspended on the threshold of sunrise. By dawn, the grassland had already delivered the account back to the settlement. Elias Boone had granted her sanctuary. Coffee vessels clattered on porches, metal spurs chimed in doorways, and the whispers carried with them the heat of scandal. A solitary cowboy, silent as granite, had chosen to protect a woman branded by dishonor. The narrative spread swifter than prairie fire in summer growth, fanned by Mabel Crow's razor tongue. As she will hex his property, did she seethe it to any who would hear. First his livestock, then his spirit. By noon, even Sheriff Callahan rode forth to Boone's homestead, his star blazing with power, his expression darkened with caution. "Do you understand what she delivers, Boone?" Callahan declared, controlling his mount at the porch's edge. "The settlement will not tolerate it. Do not make her disgrace your burden to shoulder." Elias remained in the threshold, weaponless yet unwavering. His silence served as an answer Callahan could not manipulate. After an extended pause, the sheriff expelled saliva into the earth and departed, leaving only powder and an unvoiced threat. Within the cabin, Isolde's heart sensed the pressure of that warning against her already damaged ribs. She moved with deliberation, cleaning the floor, arranging what meager clothing existed, compelling her hands toward usefulness, so her form would not feel so frail. Elias never demanded it of her. Yet she performed it as if terrified that offering nothing, he would perceive her as the town did, a liability to be discarded. He observed her occasionally from the doorway, his expression unreadable, yet his eyes more tender than she merited. The days stretched rigid with strain. Whenever Elias ventured into town for provisions, the atmosphere thickened with disdain. Men expelled saliva in the dirt at his feet. Women crossed the thoroughfare rather than brush his shadow. Still he collected what he required and returned to the cabin where her peaceful presence waited. Their words remained scarce, their gestures modest, a cup of water positioned by her hand, the touch of her sleeve against his as they moved in the confined space, yet each deed wove something invisible between them. One evening, while the prairie drained itself into dusk, the first flame materialized on the skyline. Then another, the brilliance of fire expanded until a dozen men and women assembled in the dirt beyond the cabin, faces stern, voices elevated. Mabel Crow cried above them all, malice wrapped in virtue. "Deliver her forth, Boone, she has brought nothing but decay to this settlement. You will perish with her if you do not release her." Isolde positioned herself in the doorway, her body quaking against the frame. Agony pulsed through her chest, yet terror pressed more keenly still. She inclined close to Elias, her voice scarcely breath. "No more suffering," she whispered, echoing the words that had escaped her lips the night he discovered her. "No more." Elias advanced, revolver substantial at his side, though he did not extract it. He confronted the crowd, their torches dancing wildly against the darkening heavens. His silence served as armor, more rebellious than any bellowed defense. His hand extended backward without looking, and hers discovered it. He drew her gently to his flank, allowing the assembly to witness what he had selected. Not a weapon, not fury, but her. The mob shifted restlessly. Their rage was thunderous, yet his quiet gesture resonated louder still. One by one, their stares faltered, their grip on the torches weakening. The fire's radiance dimmed as uncertainty spread through them like vapor. Yet Sheriff Callahan was not so readily shaken. He pressed forward, hand at his weapon, jaw clenched firmly. "This concludes now," the sheriff snarled, his voice slicing through the agitated crowd. "You stand against the law, Boone, against your own people." The night suspended its breath. Elias did not grasp for his gun. He remained motionless as stone, his eyes locked upon the sheriff's. Then, before fear could seize her, Isolde stepped forward. Her voice, though hoarse and fragile, carried with surprising clarity. You label me cursed, you label me feeble, but I have endured more brutality than any of you could withstand, and if that renders me undeserving in your sight, so be it. I will not bow for your compassion, nor shatter for your loathing. Her words penetrated deeper than any projectile. For an extended moment no one stirred. Callahan's hand trembled at his holster, then stilled. The torches flickered in the wind. Finally, one man turned away, then another, until the mob dissolved back into the dark prairie, leaving only the sheriff scowling in their wake. Isolde's strength crumbled, and she leaned against Elias, who guided her gently inside. The door closed behind them, muffling the world's condemnation. Their hands remained intertwined, not in a lover's embrace, but in solidarity, forged in flame and silence. Outside, the prairie wind bore the remnants of judgment into the night. Inside, two souls endured, bruised, unclaimed, yet no longer isolated. And as the lantern flickered low, the question persisted like smoke in the beams: what would the sunrise deliver to those who had chosen each other against the entire frontier?